Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, the 20th, and we are getting started with Unit 3. I did want to show you something very quickly before we get started with the actual walkthrough this week. For me, one of the most important things that I do as an English teacher is to give you feedback on your assignments so that you can target areas for improvement. So I'm gonna show you where to find and how to use feedback on your graded assignments. When you receive a grade and you click on the MyGrades portion, you will notice that it is now showing something in this column, right? Like that's where we know. It also specifies when it was graded, that sort of thing. This is showing that something has been submitted but hasn't been graded yet. And it's important when you get a grade back to check really two things. One, of course, well, three. One, of course, is the grade. You want to know how you did. You want to know your score. And so that, of course, is right there in big, bold numbers. But then you also have two things that you want to look at. One is my written comments, and one is the rubric. Now, the written comments sometimes involve not only the little comments over on the side, but also some things within the document itself that have been highlighted or commented on. So the best way to focus on your feedback is not necessarily to just click on this icon, which is where you view the written feedback, and not even just to click on the view rubric so you can see how you scored there. But if you will click on the assignment itself, you will be able to access all these things kind of in one in one stop. So you'll notice, of course, up here is the grade. Next to that is the rubric. So if we click on this, the main way to use the rubric is to look at these categories: novice, needs improvement, proficient, or exemplary. If you're scoring in the proficient or exemplary range, you're doing well on that, whatever it is. If it's proficient, of course, it means that you might be able to target it to improve a little bit more even. But if you're scoring in the exemplary range, then that's something you're doing well, and you probably don't have to waste a lot of time thinking about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. On the other hand, of course, if you are scoring in the needs improvement category or the novice category, that's an area where you want to target. So for example, if I got a needs improvement in description and details, it's probably because it wasn't long enough and it needs more development. It needs more detail. If I scored in the novice category under paragraph length, it's definitely not long enough, right? So if I only turned in one sentence, I'm not going to do well on that. Now, the other piece is that you have access to comments that are in the, what I always refer to as the preview window. I don't know if that's the official name in Blackboard. But notice this is highlighted and there's a little icon here to click on it and view what I wrote, okay? You may also from time to time have things that are just underlined or especially underlined with a squiggly line, which would mean, oh, it's a grammatical mistake or something along those lines. So make sure that you look at all the feedback, and that gives you places to target to improve for the next one. All right. So I just wanted to touch base with you on that. Sometimes we have a hard time finding our feedback. So always good reminders. All right, so we are starting Unit 3 this week, and we are focusing on several things. One is thesis statements. Those are going to be super important when you write an essay, because it's your main point. We're focusing on plagiarism because, excuse me, there's a couple of different things that are germane to plagiarism. One is the idea that we sometimes accidentally plagiarize because we don't cite our sources properly. Of course, we can also intentionally plagiarize, which is a whole different issue, but you're going to be reading about that and learning about it this week. And then, and this is the biggie, you've already started citing sources because we did a little bit of that in Unit 2, but that's going to carry into this week because all the rest of the course is going to be focused on how to write research papers, essentially. And citing your sources is absolutely the biggest key there. So under readings and resources, as usual, you will have some stuff to read, and you will have activities that will help you learn the lessons more deeply. I cannot stress enough to you how important it is for you to do everything on this readings and resources list before you try to tackle the assignments. It's really tempting in online classes to try to skip reading and skip videos and skip activities, but that's where the learning is actually taking place. Doing an assignment without prepping for it is not learning. So please make sure that you go through all of the readings and resources, and then you're ready to do the graded assignments. In the first one, the discussion board this week, excuse me, we're focusing on workplace plagiarism. We always think of plagiarism as being a school issue. And of course, you're in school, so it is. But it happens in the real world too. So this little scenario will give you some food for thought, and we want to know how you would react to it. So you have been working for a fairly well-established investment firm in the last 4 months. You and a coworker were both assigned to write a report on the same startup business to determine if you should invest in it. Your coworker asked to see your report to verify some data. The next day, you and your coworker hand in the exact same report. So how would you feel? How would you deal with it? Because it is the person has plagiarized off of you. And what actions do you think your boss should take in a case like that? Then, of course, you'll post your own response by Wednesday, and you'll come back and respond to at least 2 others throughout the rest of the week. So in your responses to others, you, in addition to responding, of course, to what they've said, you could also think of other scenarios of plagiarism that could come up in the workplace. And then, of course, how important do you think considering plagiarism is in the workplace? This week, you do not have a writing assignment. You have a knowledge check. It's your first one. Knowledge checks are, it's a nice way of saying test, but they are redoable. So you can take the test as many times as you want. However, if you do a good job of doing all your readings and activities and stuff, you should be able to score high on the first try and not have to spend a whole lot of time redoing it. You have until Sunday night, of course, to complete it as many times as possible. There are always 10 questions of multiple choice and true false. And of course, like it says, you can keep taking it if you want to. The highest grade is the one that you keep. So even if you take it again and you don't do as well, which usually that doesn't happen, but if that did happen, you're still going to have your highest score. All right. So that's what's on the tap for this week. No writing assignment. I know you're going to be sad about that, but you'll be learning about writing, and you'll be using your skills on the discussion board. As usual, I will remind you, if you have any questions, please reach out. And I will talk to you next Monday. I'm sure I will check in with you before that, but I will see you back here next Monday for sure.